For a few years in the 1970s, the Mr. Asia syndicate made millions.
Heroin creates its own market. It acts like a form of plague.
Until jealousy, betrayal and murder brought it all crashing down.
Clark would have threatened him. Go and kill him. If you don't, I'm going to kill you and your wife and your son.
This is Mr. Asia, A Forgotten History. All episodes now available on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Football. Skipper Chris Wood has scored a hat-trick in New Zealand's 7-0 thrashing of Fiji in the Football World Cup Oceania qualifier semi-final last night in Wellington.
New Zealand's All Whites are 90 minutes from the FIFA World Cup next year. Seventh heaven tonight in Wellington. A hat-trick from their skipper, their talisman, their main man Chris Wood. Goals for Singh, for Payne, for Barbarouses, and an own goal in the mix as well.
Yeah, 7-0 last night, so New Zealand have moved to Auckland. The All Whites have anyway. They've got on a plane and hopped up to Auckland, where on Monday night at 7 o'clock they will face New Caledonia at Eden Park for a spot at next year's World Cup. There were 21,000 there in Wellington last night. Really good crowd. And chatting to the powers that be, they're expecting at least that and actually quite a bit more at Eden Park on Monday night. They're talking 30, maybe 35,000 turning up to watch history being made. Only twice before have New Zealand been to a Senior Men's World Cup, 1982 and 2010. So a chance on Monday night for those in and around the Auckland region to witness history made, hopefully anyway, for a third time. All White centre-back Tyler Bindon joins us. Thanks for taking our call, Tyler, as you look to build now towards the final on Monday night. First of all, though, how happy were the playing group and the coaching staff with the performance you put on against Fiji last night in Wellington?
Yeah, I think we're all extremely happy, you can't complain. We got a clean sheet, scored 7 goals, so it's a good result from everybody. I think, of course, you can always take small bits, but I think in these moments we have to move on now and focus on the next game at hand and realise we did really well.
How did you make sure in the lead up to this game, the game last night how did you make sure you didn't get ahead of yourselves and start thinking about Monday, just focusing solely on Fiji on the Friday rather than, what a result there might mean for you?
I think for us, we take everything game by game. Football's a crazy sport. Anything can happen, so a game's never won until the 90 minutes are over. So we just were thinking like that and taking it like we would any other game.
The 7 goals, as you say, impressive, but from a defensive point of view, a clean sheet is a box ticked as well. How happy were you in the rest of the defence with the way you kept Fiji at bay?
I think we were very happy, Our pride is to keep a clean sheet, and if we do that, we can't lose. So we were all very happy. You
got Michael Boxall alongside, of course. He's been around the national team for a while. How helpful and influential has he been inside this national team environment for you personally?
He's awesome. He's a great guy. I do learn quite a bit from him. Just in general, really, I think I work well off him and take small bits that I can defensively and offensively.
And up the other end, of course, your captain, Chris Wood, another hat-trick for New Zealand, 44 goals now for the national side. Can you put into words the influence that Chris Wood has on this side?
I think it's quite hard, if I'm honest. He's like a living legend that you get to play with every day. I think would be the best terminology for it.
Did you see that? Did you see what happened to him when he went up into the stands to sign autographs? Have you caught up with that?
No, I did see a few things on social media saying that he got a yellow just because he went to sign some autographs, which I thought was quite funny, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it has to be one of the more unusual yellow cards. He's giving up his time to go and have a few selfies and autographs, and all of a sudden he finds himself in the referee's notebook. But I guess he'll probably wear that one. So now that your spot in the final is secure on Monday night, how exciting a prospect is it that you are now effectively 90 minutes away from going to a World Cup?
I think it's really cool. It's going to a World Cup is not an easy feat, and not everyone gets to do it. So hopefully we can do it, and it's a dream. I think everyone in the All Blacks dreams of it. Like, they dreamed of it as a kid. Everyone growing up wants to be in a World Cup. So to be able to have the opportunity to play in a game that could potentially get us there is really cool.
How do you think the next couple of days will be structured, Tyler? Today, will it be mainly sort of recovery and then back on the grass tomorrow, or do you have a training session today? What's the structure for the weekend?
Yeah, so just be recovery today. Probably go over how the game was, Fiji, what we can improve on, what New Caledonia will bring to us, and then we'll train tomorrow and prepare ourselves for the upcoming fixture.
You played, of course, some youth international football for the United States. Can you talk about the circumstances around the choice to commit to New Zealand?
I think for me it wasn't hard. New Zealand's always been my home. I always wanted to play for the All Whites, so when they called, it was a no-brainer for me to just accept that opportunity and grab it with both hands. And
did you play your junior football in Auckland?
Yes, that's right. For East Coast Bays.
Yeah, the mighty East Coast Bays. And so just take us through, for those who aren't aware of it, your journey from junior football to where you are now.
So I was at East Coast Bays when I was younger in New Zealand, and then I moved to the States. I was at LAFC, and then from there I moved to England and have been at Reading since, and then, yeah. And in February, signed by Nottingham Forest, of course, but loaned back to Reading for the rest of the current season. What is the plan at the end of the season, Tyler? Have you talked with the powers that be at Nottingham Forest? Is a loan move likely? What's the most likely scenario for you in the next year to 18 months or so? It all depends, really. I'll most likely not go in for pre-season, and then depending on how they see me, I could either get loaned out or stay with the squad and see what happens from there. So it's all uncertain, but it's all very exciting. You're building a bit of a Kiwi cohort there at Forest, because obviously Chris Wood is there, you're there. Marko Stamanic also on the books. He's playing on loan in Greece at the moment, of course. It sounds like the Kiwis are taking over at Forest. It does a little bit. I think it's quite cool. It's not every day that you get to see three Kiwis playing for such a big club. So I think if all of us stay there and play, I think it would be really special. It would indeed. And you've been clocking up the minutes for Reading as well. I'm sure you've heard this stat as well. As of November last year, you played more minutes as a professional than any other teenager in the world. You captained Reading when you were 19. Why do you think you've adjusted so quickly to top-level football? I'm not sure, really. I think my parents have helped me with that a lot. I think growing up around them and always staying focused on what I can do for the team, and whether that's on the pitch, off the pitch, just all the small details, I think that's helped me a lot. Yeah, your mum Jenny is 77 cap football fern. How big an influence has she been on you? She's been awesome. I think without her I wouldn't be where I am today. She's an amazing mum and even better person, so to be able to learn off her when I ask it, and then even just to be at her trainings when I was little, it's inspired me to keep pushing on and keep dreaming. And is it true? I've heard a rumour, a whispering, that you are sitting your driving test on Tuesday. Is this true? Who told you that? That was funny. Can you confirm that this is the case? That is the case. What's going on here? No, so it's worked out time-wise, because last time I was in New Zealand, I wasn't able to take my full due to the amount of time you have to have your restricted license. So whenever I come back to New Zealand, I try and just slowly tick off the boxes. So, yeah. That's what a come down. 30,000 people at Eden Park on Monday night to watch you hopefully qualify for World Cup, and then you've got to do 3-point turns and hill starts on Tuesday to try and get your licence. Mate, I'd be more nervous about that. No, you got to take everything day by day. So I'm more focused on the game at hand, and then we'll go from there.
Good to know. Hey, Tyler, great to chat. Congrats on a good performance last night from you and the rest of the All Whites. Terrific stuff to get past Fiji with such ease. All the best for Monday night against New Caledonia and on towards what could be a really exciting time for you and the team. Thanks for taking the time for a chat.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
No, appreciate you taking our call, Tyler. Thanks indeed. Tyler Bindon there, one of the rising stars of New Zealand football, looked so composed out there last night. Yes, it was only Fiji, but if you've been following Tyler Bindon's career at all, you'll know that is one very promising young footballer. Once he gets his driver's licence, he'll be able to drive himself to training. That'll be handy.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.